Episode 1 of Territory has Emily sharing that the territory is an inhabitable and dangerous land, but they've learned to live with it. We then cut to the Marianne station, which is the biggest cattle station in Australia. It has been in the Lawson family for 5 generations and is currently run by the youngest son, Daniel, who is also the president of the Northern Territory Cattlemen Federation. Nolan Brannock is a drover and aspires to run his own cattle station to rival Marianne. He's hired by Daniel for the muster of the season, but there is chaos as Daniel is missing. Colin refuses to let Nolan start the muster without Daniel, but Emily has other plans. She joins Nolan for the muster while Graham searches for Daniel. Emily is good at her job, from wrangling a wayward buffalo to dealing with a stray. As for Daniel, he's fallen off his horse in the middle of nowhere and has a broken femur. It is the end for him as several dingoes show up and attack. Graham finds his dead body, but Colin refuses to acknowledge the fall as an accident as Daniel was a good rider. He wants to see the horse and keeps berating Graham for not being able to find it. Elsewhere, Graham's son from his first marriage, Marshall, is a scammer and lives with his friends Shani and Rich. The trio often steal and cause trouble together, and during a bar fight, Marshall learns that his uncle is dead. His friends are surprised by his identity, but he claims he has never felt as part of the family since his mum died. Rich and Shami convince him to go to the funeral so they can steal from the Lawsons. Meanwhile, Susie, his half-sister and Emily's daughter show up at the station for Daniel's funeral. Emily is upset as Susie has dropped out of college since she wants to work on the field and one day run Marianne. Graham is welcoming while Colin is barely cordial to her. The family has other problems though, as Daniel apparently promised Nolan 800 grand and Lawson's breeding cows. Colin has a hard time believing this, calling Nolan the liar who cancels the muster midway. Graham tries to negotiate as they will lose out on $15 million if the cattle isn't transported. This just annoys Colin though, as he calls Graham greedy and even attacks Emily as she is a Hodge, a rival family who has been stealing Lawson cattle for years. Marshall and his friends finally arrive at Marianne and he has a sweet reunion with Susie and Emily. Even Colin is excited to see him and at dinner claims Marshall will run the station. This angers Graham though, who believes the station is rightfully his. We see that Colin is also patriarchal as he refuses to let Susie be part of the station since it would just go to her husband once she's married. The bickering gets to Marshall though, who lashes out at his father and grandfather before walking away. The next day, Daniel's funeral takes place. One of the visitors there is Cassandra and her son Lashy, who plan to buy a gold mine on Lawson property. Colin is upset at all the vultures at the funeral, eyeing the station and already offering a generous amount to buy Marianne from him. Another rival though happens to be Campbell Miller, Emily's ex and potentially the next president of the Federation. Graham is not happy with Campbell's presence, but Emily couldn't care less as she spots Rich trying to steal from their house. She threatens him should he hurt Marshall, but he is equally cheeky as he claims he has Marshall under his thumb. Elsewhere, Lashy tries to impress Susie by riding a horse, but he falls. Emily's brother, Hank, shows up too, and rumours spread that he is stealing some of the Lawson cattle. Furious, Colin attacks him and a fight ensues until Marshall drops them. Graham too tries to check on Colin, who pushes him away and declares that Marshall will run the station. That night, Campbell finds Emily in the barn and claims he will take the station and give it to her. They are still in love with each other despite being married to other people. Outside, a drunk Graham directs his anger to Marshall, believing that his son has betrayed him by stealing what is rightfully his. He goes as far as to claim Marshall might not even be his son. Marshall is enraged that he shares he has no interest in the station and tells Graham to leave him alone. Graham ends up wallowing in misery as he goes to Emily and begs her not to leave him. The next day, Colin, Susie and Emily watch as Marshall and his friends steal a couple of things from the station and leave. Emily makes a deal with Colin. They know Marshall hates them all and he is not fit to run the station, but she will train him to take over. In return, she wants Colin to give Susie a place at the station too. And at the end of episode 1, someone finds Daniel's horse, and that someone had shot it, which is why Daniel fell in the first place. Territory episode 1 gets off to a pretty intriguing start for Netflix's new cowboy drama. There has been a sudden influx of cowboy dramas recently for some reason, from Yellowstone and Walker across the Outer Range, which it has been cancelled, which is still annoyed about, and Faraway Downs. So far, Territory has all the classic Western tropes from muster problems and family drama, across the vultures circling a fancy station and legacy trouble. There's Colin, the overbearing stubborn patriarch, Graham the hopeless drunk, Emily the outsider, Marshall the black sheep and Susie the underdog. Among the vultures, Campbell, Sandra and Rich stand out, and will probably cause conflicts among the Lawsons. The dynasty also has financial troubles, no leader, and has lost their drover, so the following episodes will probably show them tackling these obstacles while dealing with their enemies. It's a solid premise, it's not exactly eye-catching, but there are some familiar faces here like Anna Torv, Robert Taylor and Sam Corlett to have us seated. But we'll have to wait and see what's in store for us next. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.